Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to explore a concept that completely redefines how we think about connection, boundaries, and honestly, the very forces of nature. We're actually going to step back in time to examine a piece of wisdom that is just as radical today as it was centuries ago. So settle in, clear your mind, and let's dive into the profound philosophy hidden within a single, absolutely extraordinary teaching. The universe turns differently when fire loves water. Take a second and just let that visceral poetry sink in. It's a stunning image, isn't it? Today, we're unpacking exactly what this means, why it hits so deeply, and how it challenges the fundamental rules of our world. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, Rule 40 of Love. To really grasp the climax of Rule 40, we've got to start at the very beginning, peeling the onion, so to speak. The quote begins, "A life without love is of no account." Before we even touch that complex metaphor of fire and water, we have to establish what love meant to the author, Shams Tabrizi. Shams was a 13th century Persian mystic, a Sufi master, and famously the spiritual guide to Rumi. And to Shams, love isn't just a fleeting emotion or some milestone you check off a list. No, it is the absolute baseline of existence, the central organizing principle of a meaningful life. Without it, well, nothing else even registers. Moving on to Section 2, A Love Without Labels. So as humans, we have this deep-seated, almost obsessive tendency to categorize everything, right? Spiritual versus material, divine versus mundane, Eastern versus Western. But what's really interesting here is how Shams completely, radically rejected these artificial boxes that people use to define spirituality and connection. He was considered incredibly radical for his time, and frankly, for ours too. He warns us directly, do not ask yourself what kind of love you should seek. Because trying to categorize love entirely misses the point. Divisions literally only lead to more divisions. Think about how often we try to label relationships today just to make them feel safe or, predictable. But to Shams, trying to split love into neat little categories is a complete fool's errand. Love has no labels. Love has no definitions. It is what it is, pure and simple. And by stripping away these rigid human boundaries, he's preparing us for the true raw power of connection. All right, Section 3, The Alchemy of Opposites. When we talk about alchemy here, the crucial point is that we aren't talking about the medieval quest to turn lead into gold. I mean, as great as that would be for paying off student loans, right? We're talking about the metaphorical magic of uniting total opposites. It's the process of taking contradictory elements, forces that should, by all logic, repel each other, and combining them to create something entirely new and incredibly powerful. Let's look at classical element theory to see why this is such a massive central paradox. In the natural world, fire and water are the ultimate opposites. One literally destroys the other. If water dominates, it extinguishes the fire. If fire dominates, it evaporates the water. They absolutely cannot exist in the same space without a destructive clash. That's the rigid law of nature. But here is where Shams introduces the ultimate plot twist. Step 1. Classical elements dictate destruction. We know that. But look at Step 2. When these elements come together in the metaphor of love, they do not destroy each other. Why? Because love introduces surrender. And that leads us to Step 3. When fire and water surrender to one another, they create something entirely new. They create steam. They create motion, passion, and transformation. The destructive cycle is completely broken, and a magnificent creative cycle begins. Which brings us to Section 4, Transforming the Universe. And this brilliantly illustrates how Shams maps these classical natural elements directly onto the human experience. He defines love as the water of life, and he defines the lover, the human being seeking that connection, as a soul of fire. We are the fiery, burning entity, and love is the vast, cool water. When a soul of fire surrenders to the water of life, it acts as the ultimate statement of unity. This surrender sparks a passion that literally changes the fundamental physics of their world. The boundaries are gone. The natural laws of destruction are entirely suspended. And that, right there, is exactly why the universe turns differently when fire loves water. Shams Tabrizi left us with a blueprint for a boundless life, completely unbothered by the human need to categorize and divide. He showed us that the most impossible combinations can create the most beautiful transformations. So I'll leave you with this thought to reflect on today. What labels are keeping your universe from turning?